How you doing? This is Richard live from Accidental Theatre in Belfast. This is kind of a new project that we're doing today. Hopefully the start of maybe several episodes, but essentially we're doing a live show maybe every week that will involve kind of interviews and chats and discussions with artists in our sector and also from outside. So today, just before we go live on the main show at 1 p.m, we've got a special treat from Yellow Crane Tai Chi, who've come into the theatre a couple of weeks back to do some specific Tai Chi lessons for us. They are an absolute fantastic outfit, so please tune in, have a look at it, do a little bit of Tai Chi in this just after 12 and relax, and then we'll have the main show. So you'll see me. I'll be switching the show and doing things on the computers back and forth all the way through. You will not. You'll be able to it'll be a bit rough and ready. It'll be a bit of a fun thing. It's a bit of an experiment for us, but hopefully you'll enjoy it. So first of all, I'll introduce Fiona from Yellow Crane Tai Chi, and she'll take you through a bit of a lesson. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Fiona Jennings from Yellow Crane Tai Chi here in Belfast, and we're going to do a session today of Qigong. So what is Qigong? Qigong is sometimes called the grandmother of Tai Chi. Tai Chi is several hundred years old. Qigong is certainly several thousand years old, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 years old. So it's a set of, or a system of Chinese exercises, and they incorporate body movement, breath, and mind focus. So what we're going to do is just some very simple exercises here. Focus on this set is going to be around building your immune system and calming. So we just start off with the feet roughly hip width apart, or about a foot apart. Try and get your feet to point forwards if you can. And relax your knees. Qigong's slightly different to yoga in that we don't push, we relax, and we try and allow the muscles to stretch by relaxing. So we'll start off, just relax the body. Close your eyes if you want to, and just start at the top of your head. Relax your scalp, relax your eyes, relax your mouth and your jaw. We carry an awful lot of tension in the jaw, so try and relax that. Relax your shoulders. Relax your belly. Let go of the six-pack. Relax your back and your shoulders. Relax your hips. Relax your thighs, your calves, and just feel your feet on the floor. Any thoughts that come into your head, just let them pass through. Don't let them disturb you. Even if you're on the second floor of a building, imagine your feet going right through to the center of the earth, and let the back of your neck stretch up a little bit so that you get a little bit taller and your spine just decompresses a bit. Take a big deep breath in, lift your shoulders right up to your ears, and then let it all go. Try that again. Breathe in and breathe out. One more. Breathe in and out. Feel yourself relax. If you've had your eyes closed, just let them open now, blink them up slowly. And we're going to start with what's called the flow motion. So lift the arms, palms up, palms down, palms up, palms down. Don't lock the elbows. Leave the knees nice and soft. Just relax. Now we're going to add the feet in, and as we bring the palms up, lift your heels a little. As we bring the palms down, rock back onto your heels, lift the toes. Up on lifting the heels, heels down, lift the toes. Keep going. If you go too far back, that's good. That challenges your balance and sees how far you can go. You don't have to stretch up. You can just go as much or as little as you want. What this does is it boosts your immune system by pumping the lymph better. The lymph is part of your immune system. It helps the blood circulate better by relaxing and squeezing the leg muscles. Helps your breathing, helps you to calm. And if you do it, you will realize it's exercise. So just take your time with that. So now we can add the breath in. It's entirely up to you what way you want to breathe, but most people find it, you can breathe in better as you lift, and breathe out as you come down. Always time the movements with your breath, so go at your own pace for breathing. Don't try and make your breath too fast or too slow. Just your normal breath. And down. Now we're going to change the palms. Palms down, palms down. Some of you may recognize this as painting the fence from Karate Kid. Up and down. So you can do whichever you prefer. Do both. Just the moving is important. Just doing the best you can so long as you're moving. Feeling your arms. Feel the way your feet rock backwards and forwards. Now we're going to settle down again. And we're going to do another exercise called opening the chest. So we lift the arms up, turn the palms to face, open the arms, close and down. Up, palms face, open, close and down. When you open the arms, don't pull them too far back. And don't lock the elbows, keep the knees soft. If you pull your arms too far back, you'll find your chest starts to tighten. And the idea is just to open the ribs and let the air come in. So we can breathe in and out. Slightly longer breath, but again, match your movements with your breath. Start to move up and down as well. Up, open, close, and down. Just go down as far as you want to. Doesn't have to be very much. Just feel the legs pushing your arms up and pulling your arms down. In, out. In and out. Feel the arms. Feel the way your body moves. Focus on the breath. Now we're going to change this to one called Coming Up for Air, which again is a great one for the lungs. So make a loose fist and we're going to arch back, breathing in, and then breathe out, bend the knees, bring the elbows together. Breathe in. Breathe out. In, open the chest, and out. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In, out. So what we're trying to do with that exercise is to stretch the muscles on either side of the spine, up and down and side to side, and at the front here. And that gets them more flexible so that you can breathe in better. Helps your lung capacity and your lung strength. So we're going to finish off with some shaking. So this is really good, again, to relax you, to calm you, and to boost your immune system and get your blood pumping through the body. So we'll just literally shake. Keep your knees soft. Imagine you've got a ping pong ball in your belly and it's going up and down. Let everything relax. Don't lock your knees. We can do front, side, up high. Let the wrists be nice and loose. Feel your body moving. And your breath, just let it come spontaneously at first. Just remember to breathe. And you can do it more slowly. You don't have to go so fast. Just depending on what you want to do and what you're able to do. And just settle. Feel how your body's feeling now. Get yourself centered back. Just relax again. Let yourself pour into the floor and stretch up to the sky. Just going to finish off with a grounding, just to get us settled, calm. Breathe in, sink a little bit, hands come up the side. Breathe out, stand up and push down. In, sink. Breathe out, push down. Sink, breathe in, hands come up. Rise, push down and breathe out. Keep the shoulders down. Any of these exercises can be done seated if you're not able to stand. Always keep within your own limits. The rule in Qigong is only 70% of your maximum. So don't stretch too far, don't push it too much. I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you for watching.
Hi, yeah, thanks very much again to Yellow Korean Tai Chi. That was an excellent lesson. They'll be back next week with a second lesson. You can support Yellow Korean just through their website and also their PayPal. Those details are just on the screen now. I'll be back at 1 o'clock, about 10 minutes, and we'll start the show proper then. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll be back very soon. Hiya and welcome to Talk at AT. My track is gone out, so let me take that out. There you go. Yeah. Okay, so welcome to Talk at AT. We've no idea what the hell this is. This is just something that we came up with about a couple of weeks ago. We're trying to think of different ideas in how to, combat social isolation, have a bit of fun, create something new, all those kind of things. And we thought that a way to do that would just be to have a nice chat with a lot of different people. It's not really a chat show, but we can't actually think of a different way to describe it. It's basically just me in an office along with the rest of the accidental team who will come in at different points and chat about different things. But we'll make it as interesting and as fun to watch as we can. Having said that, it is just me in an office, and I have to control the switcher and things like that, so it won't be the most polished piece of TV or YouTube or streaming that we've ever done, but hey, it might be a bit of fun. Because we want it to be a talk show, you are more than welcome to join us at any point. You're welcome to give us a call. You're welcome to give us a join in the Zoom conversation. You're welcome to just to send us a message. You can do that on Facebook, on YouTube, or on the using hashtag Talk at AT, which is it's here. There it is. That hashtag will stay there for most of the night or daytime. We've just had Yellow Crane Tai Chi on just beforehand. They'll be on again next week at 12:30. They were fantastic and came into the office to do a bit of recording before kind of things got even crazier. They are absolutely fantastic. Please check them out so that after this whole thing kind of goes out, you might actually do a bit of Tai Chi with them, or if you can, give them support. Their PayPal details are just there on the screen at the moment. As I said, I'll be switching between things all the way through, so if I'm looking at this computer, it's because I'm kind of monitoring the stream and doing different things. I'm going to introduce you now to some of the rest of the team who are on Zoom with me. They are from top to bottom, Niall McKenna. Hey Niall, who isn't in our book bar, but he is in our book bar from like 2 years ago, maybe. Then we've got Marty Byrne, who's the fantastic artist who made the opening track. We'll be playing some of Marty's work during the show all the way through. And then at the bottom we've got Tommy Brunt, who is the building manager here at Accidental, but he's also in Fermanagh, both literally and in the virtual space as well, though his limbs keep disappearing all the time. So say hello.
Hello everyone.
that was done with absolutely no panache, but thanks very much. So yes, this is a new idea. You are more than welcome to join us, to come in on the Zoom call. If you want to join us or join the kind of different kind of chat things, literally just pop your name into the comments about when you would like to join, or if you would like to join at all. The comments on Facebook or on YouTube, or you can send us a message on Twitter. Niall, who is our fantastic marketing officer, he will pick it up. I'm going to do this hand because I have to do the reverse. He will pick it up and chat to you and then give you the kind of the access codes for how to get into Zoom and things like that. Then we're also going to have later on a interview from Rebecca Mears, who is the literary manager of the Lyric. Niall, Rebecca and myself pre-recorded that a number of days back with on a Zoom interview. And then we've also got a live chat with Niamh Flanagan from Theatre NI, who's the chief executive of Theatre NI, and about kind of what help is out there for organisations and for individuals as well. So we're hoping to do this as a weekly thing. We're hoping that every week we'll have someone new to interview. We're hoping that more people will want to chat and just get in together and have a nice little natter about how awful this all is, how interesting it is, how we're all about to go destitute if you're a freelancer and the government has decided to only give you a small portion of what you would have got, though at least they did something. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, but also they're awful. They could have done a lot more. They've kind of abandoned the charity sector, but hey, we'll get to that later on. We can talk about what's exciting you. We can talk about what is absolutely depressing you. The entire idea is just to have a bit of a chat within the kind of art sector in Northern Ireland, but also wider afield. We'll hopefully have people coming in from much further afield who just wants to tell us what it's like over there, and also maybe to create some interesting connections whilst we're all in lockdown together. We'll also have tomorrow night as another live stream, but a exclusive one to whoever has to book it. So unlike it's just free out there, we'll have a specific live stream for a regular life drawing class that we have here in Accidental all the time. You've probably seen the kind of different ads for it have been popping up before the show. Figure this. So that goes out tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's a pre-recorded life drawing class that we've had. It is an absolutely fantastic group. They've been doing life drawing classes here since last year, and they decided to try and keep going in some fashion. And they brought models in, and we recorded multiple different life drawing classes in one day, and then we'll be sending those out every other Friday. So the first one is tomorrow. That's actually run by Tommy, who's in my bottom corner. And Tommy and Hadi. Jeez, I can't get used to this, like which corners I'm pointing at. They 7 p.m. tomorrow. Book tickets through accidentaltheatre.co.uk. If you click on the workshops tab, you'll get through to that. Or if you go onto the accidentaltheatre.co.uk/live and scroll down, you'll get a link to how to book as well. Absolutely fantastic. Please support them if you can. That will hopefully be every other week. We'll also have next week talk show again, but also some musical work from Belfast Operatic Company. If you also want to send stuff in, if you want to be broadcast, if you want to be part of what we're kind of trying to do, you are more than welcome. Please just get in touch through info@accidentaltheatre.co.uk and tell us what you want to do. So Marty, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah. The music you're doing at the moment, you're kind of our house DJ, as if we're an actual chat show. We have a house DJ.
Cool.
He's fantastic, but it's the best we could do. You've been making a song a day for a year so far. You actually started before the lockdown, before people tried to be creative from their own homes. How's it been going for you?
Well, this is day 100 actually. This is today will be the 100th song. When I write it after this, when I get stuck into it. It's been going really well. It's been obviously since the lockdown, it's been going even better. You know, it's been like now I actually have a bit more direction or a bit more. I've got something to do with my day, really, I suppose. Whereas before, it was at times I was juggling it with my day job as well. So sometimes it was getting a bit hectic to do it. But yeah, it's been really fun. It's done a few collaborations as well. I've done about 4 or 5 collaborations now. So just basically asking people on the internet, like, do you want to throw me some recordings, or I'll throw you some recordings, and we'll try and work on something together and finish the song in a day together. And I've had Owen Lamont, who's an absolutely fantastic, you probably all know who he is, a singer-songwriter. He got involved there a few days ago, number 80. With Owen, and that was lovely. He sent me some just Rhodes, just playing organ stuff, and then I kind of sent some guitar and drums over it, and then he sent me some vocals back, and it ended up being just really lovely, man. One of the highlights for me anyway this year. And then a couple of other collaborations with Owen Bowden, who I play in a band with. He kind of wrote the whole song and just sent it to me, and I just kind of put all the other instrumentation around it and sang it. He wrote the lyrics, and I kind of I recorded myself singing. But those kind of things, the collaborations are really great crack, That's what makes it sort of really worthwhile, I think, when you're able to kind of work with other people and bounce ideas back and forth. Especially in this situation, I think the collaborations have really felt like, a way to connect with other people when you're feeling a bit sort of trapped inside your little cave or trapped inside your house. The collaborations have been great, actually. That's been one of the most positive things about it, I think, so far. But yeah, it's been really fun. It's been a fun journey, Hello. I've lost. I'm not hearing anybody. Is anybody speaking? I'm just
Hey, Rich, man.
Sorry, no, that's me. I've muted myself.
all right.
So there you go. I did say it wouldn't be slick. You've kind of done this for a while. You did song a day a week, haven't you?
I've done.
Isn't that right? You started with?
Yeah, I did song a day for a year back in 2011 actually, and that was funny actually because part of that was when Richard, we were working on the writers' room and we took it to London for a week, and I remember that week, writing a song every day. That week was really interesting because we're in London and we were all doing our show in the John Gale Good, and at the same time I was trying to run about doing songs randomly with people in London, and Dan Leith was there actually. He did a couple with me, and yeah, that was quite funny. So I did it back then. Did it in 2011. It was really fun. And then the year after, 2012, I did Song a Week for a year, where I got a bit of funding from the Arts Council, and they gave me a bit of money for like bands some new gear from the studio and a guitar and stuff, which was really, really great. So that money kind of went, helped me work on that one. The Song a Week for a year thing was, the attempt there was to try and do something a little bit more ambitious in terms of collaborations and getting more people involved. And instead of having 365 songs, having 52 songs, but making the songs a little bit more ambitious in terms of their scope and instrumentation and stuff. So that 2012 was like, yeah, it was a different sort of feel to the music. I think it was a bit more kind of, I don't know, like I'd say ambitious, a bit more padded out, or a bit more kind of like, but yeah, so yeah, there's that. And then so done a lot of stuff in between them, but thought it would be fun to do it again this year. I was going to wait 10 years. I was going to wait to 2021. It would have been 10 years since the first time I did it. But actually at the start of this year, I just thought, you know what, let's just do it. I was kind of really aching to get back into that headspace of just creating stuff again. I was getting really anxious, not making stuff. When you kind of like, you just have to, sometimes you just have to do it. Because not doing it is really stressful.
So the track that we played as our intro was from the 3rd of January, so it's one of the really early ones. Was there anything particularly inspiring you that day?
Yeah, it's funny, like the first week or so of songs, like from song 2, from like 2nd of January onwards, I kind of had this thing I was planning to do, which was, there was kind of a couple of wee ingredients that I was going to do every time, which was like kind of use the same set of sounds, and use this kind of thing of having a sort of dramatic intro, like a really nice hard-hitting intro, and all the songs would be really short, like less than 2 minutes, and those were kind of the criteria for the first week of songs. But after about a week of doing that, I kind of got into a different headspace, and I just sort of drifted off into another place. I was like, nah, kind of bored with that now, let's try something else, and it kind of went onwards. But day 3, like that one you're saying, the 3rd of January one, like for me, it was a bit of a hodgepodge one. It was a bit of a kind of like, right, what I did on day 2, I didn't want to repeat myself. I didn't want to like go down the same road, so I tried to steer away from that in terms of the style. But I did want to reference the instrumentation. It's kind of this weird game of like, I do sort of want to reference the previous thing, but I don't want to rip it off. I don't want to copy myself again. So it's kind of like, how do I have a new angle on a slightly similar theme? So it ended up being this kind of disco-y thing, like a kind of quirky disco rock thing. It's quite a strange piece of music, but it was fun. Like, it was one of those ones where it just came out and I didn't really overthink it too much in terms of like, what is this supposed to be? It was just like, just get into the headspace of it and do it. And then at the end of it, you're just kind of going, what was that? What happened there? Where did that come from? So,
so we've got a couple of other tracks of yours that we're going to be playing throughout the show, but and because the intros and outros, we're going to play a one track and it's complete in its entirety next. Now this one's from the 3rd of March, I believe. I said beforehand. What was going on with that one?
Yeah, this is quite a heavy one. Like, so around this point, like, so from about the 25th of February till about here, so this is about a week of songs. Around this period, I was trying to get back into playing more guitar-based stuff. Like, I kind of hadn't really picked up the guitar for a lot of the songs up to this point, and at this point, I was like, you know what? I like playing guitar. I sort of like, I kind of deliberately avoid using the guitar because it's sort of, I suppose I'm this thing, I'm very conscious of this thing of just being like every day, just writing a simple song on guitar. It's like, here's my 3 chords every day. And I just didn't want to go down that road, you know. I wanted to try and be a little bit more creative, like, and incorporate more of the like electronic instruments and all that kind of stuff. So when I got to this point, I was like, you know what, I do actually quite like playing guitar. I do like writing stuff, so maybe I'll get back into that. And I wrote a few sort of folky songs around this time. And this one particularly was like, it was pretty heavy. Like, I kind of wrote a few chords and it had a very somber sort of tone to it. I thought I quite like this feel. So I wrote the music first and then thought, right, well, what lyrics can kind of apply to this? What sort of feel is coming out? And I wrote these lyrics sort of at the end of the whole process. And the lyrics were pretty heavy, man. Yeah, it's funny when you've chosen. I think it's a lovely song. Like, I'm really happy with it. Like, but it's the subject matter's fairly deep, fairly heavy. Don't know if we want to really get into it. I suppose I'll say it's quite a personal kind of thing. It's quite it's about sort of dysfunctional relationships and that kind of thing. Yeah.
It's a song for right now. Dysfunctional relationships between everyone right now. Okay, well, let's give it a listen. All the music is on martyburnmusic.co.uk. Marty's donation link is coming up as well, which is paypal.me at sadfa, song a day for a year. Yeah, thanks so much, Marty. Let's give this one a wee listen.
Does it fill you up, feeding from his bone? Does it make you smile, painting that face home? Is it wrong to ask why you've stayed so long? It's a mammoth task, an unmade bed of stone. We can play again. Pack your things and head for the border. Head for the border. Come on, take my hand, like you took my hand before. You watched over me. So I hope you understand. I can bear to see you like it's a bitter pill, a silent potted cell. Medicate yourself away, away. It makes me sick. We're all part of it, but no one has anything to say. Too scared. We can catch the sun. It's just early evening. We still have time. We still have time. Come on, take a stand, like you stood before you protected me. So I want you to be free. Whatever you understand, I can't bear to see you like this.
thanks very much to Marty, who's still on our line as our house DJ. His details again are on the screen, so please give him a follow, give him a like, give him a love, give him a comment on what you liked, and give him some money if you can. Yeah, give us all money if you can, even if it's just me giving us money. That'd be fun. Okay, we've still got a bit of Marty's music kind of playing through. He'll come back in later on and kind of give us a little bit more information about what's happening. We'll play a couple more tracks of his. Also coming up in a little bit will be after an interview with Rebecca Mears, there'll be reviews on a rabbit onesie from Dan Leith, who's making some interesting reviews whilst wearing a rabbit onesie. It is exactly how it sounds and equally as awesome. So thanks very much to Dan Leith for making those. Like everything else that we tend to do, it's all a bit experimental. So tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, tell us what you want to see more of. Send us a little message on the system. The hashtag is hashtag talk@, or talk@at. Send us a message on the different channels, everything from Twitter to Facebook and YouTube. Love to hear from you. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't. So we've got a little bit of news coming through. We have, obviously, because of everything that's going on at the moment, we have a couple of the larger bodies who are there to support and protect us all the way through this have made different announcements all the way through. Later on when we're talking to Niamh, we'll kind of go in a bit more detail, but we thought for those who may not have seen it, the Arts Council's Chief Executive made a bit of an announcement over the last couple of days, and we're going to give that a wee bit of a play, just to for everyone to kind of see what's going on and what help is on the way. So we're going to play that now.
First, thank you to everyone for filling in our sector-wide survey about the impact of COVID-19 on you, our artists and creative practitioners and arts organisations. It paints a bleak picture indeed. Many of you will already know that we will be taking our annual funding decisions for organisations next week. But I want to take this moment to address the needs of you, our artists and creative practitioners in particular. You are hurting badly. We know that from what you've told us. So what are we doing to help? We have devised a flexible, light touch scheme aimed at helping you regain some income, and we will be announcing that next week. We have also reprofiled our existing budgets to augment support for the work of our artists, and those normal schemes will open again this month. Finally, we continue to work in partnership with our Department for Communities to help the Minister devise the £1 million programme that she recently announced to support the sector in this time of crisis. Keep looking at our website and social media platforms in the coming weeks. Everybody, please stay safe and well. We're thinking of you.
So that was just the response from the Arts Council. They have some stuff coming quite soon. So I personally, yes, I've been waiting to see what's kind of coming off the different things that have been out so far. It is quite slow, and that does create quite a lot of stress. We as an organisation are not grant funded by the Arts Council. We are funded as a building through earned income, as it's referred to, which means that as soon as we had to close our doors, we lost pretty much all of our income for the next couple of months. So we've certainly been in quite a lot of stress about what to do. We'll be talking to Niamh from Theatre and I later about that, and about what help is out there. A lot of people will have already found help, hopefully through some of the government schemes, but there are a lot of gaps all over the place for those schemes, and it's not great whenever you feel that you're in the gap and there's absolutely no help coming, and no end in sight for a lot of this. So I thought it was helpful to just show that, just in case anyone hasn't seen it. It is encouraging that help is on the way, and I appreciate that the Arts Council is working probably very, very hard to get that out. There's a lot of restrictions that they have to work within, and I hope they do understand from the survey how desperate things are, and by the sounds of it, they do, because it's a bit unprecedented to get a personal message sent out to on their side. It wasn't sent to us, by the way. It is available on the Arts Council's website, so you probably have already seen it. But I thought it was kind of useful to show. So we're going to go move to our interview with Rebecca Mers next. Just going to throw it to the team of heads beside me. Have you seen any interesting news bits or things out there on the websites on the world so far? No.
No news at all.
No news apparently whatsoever. That's good.
Trying to avoid it, I think, for the most part.
Sorry,
I mean,
Marty?
yeah, trying to avoid it for the most part. I think it's so harsh. It's every day. It's
yeah, I kind of go back and forth whether to watch it or not. On busy days I don't get to read it during the day, and then I kind of go home and try and catch up on some things. Hopefully, just kind of like for interesting announcements that might help us all kind of survive this financially, let alone medically. But the Chancellor announced £750 million of help for charities 2 days ago, which then had absolutely no help that would extend itself to us, because we're not a frontline charity helping people in this time of need. We're a kind of arts charity, so we can't convert ourselves to a elderly care or medical help charity just for funding. So it's a pretty bleak situation. Okay, we're going to go in on that note. We're going to go into a lovely interview with Rebecca Mers, but just be aware that we've got kind of coming up a little bit later is Dan Leith in a rabbit onesie. Just a little bit of a trailer there for that. That's what he looks like in a rabbit onesie off to the side. And then we'll kind of go back to we'll be then having our live interview with Rebecca with Neve as well just after that. So this is about a half an hour long interview. Very much thanks to Rebecca for coming on and chatting to me and talking about all kind of sorts of things. So yes, thanks very much to her, and give us a tweet, use the hashtag #talkatAT, send us a message, tell us what you like, tell us what you want to ask other people, because we'll have lots of other interviews kind of coming up over the next couple of weeks, should be fun. Okay, here's Rebecca. Thank you very much, Rebecca, for coming on to have a wee chat and answer a few questions that we've been thinking up. How are you doing?
I'm grand, just like keeping on, trying to stay sane. How are you?
Likewise, yeah, just trying to stay sane and solvent all at the same time, as best we can. So we've got a couple of questions that we sent through just to go through, and then just anything that comes to mind that you want to chat about or shoot the breeze about, please feel free. It'd be nice to find out some more of the inside goss from your side of things. But don't worry, I'm not going to ask you anything weird.
Okay. Oh, come on.
Okay. Well, what's your favourite cheese?
I do have a favourite cheese. It's Young Buck.
I've never heard of Young Buck.
It's the one that's made in Newtonards. Mike's Fancy Cheese in town sells it.
Okay, I'll have to get that. Young Buck. Is there a store that we can still get to that actually sells it?
He's open. I think he's still open, or like on reduced hours, and he does home deliveries as well.
Ooh.
I'm not getting sponsored by him, don't worry.
No sponsorships just yet. So were there any kind of things that were postponed that you were really looking forward to? Plays that are either at the Lyric or down south or in the Abbey or anywhere around the country that you were really kind of looking forward to?
Yeah, all of them. It was actually kind of really, well, aside from our shows, I was really looking forward to 1984. That went into rehearsal basically the week of the lockdown, the week we were told to shut. So that was a really, really difficult decision because we were just, through the door starting to rehearse that, and such an amazing cast, such an amazing kind of creative team, really, really interested about the vision that kind of Lisa had for that project in terms of a show to be so relevant and urgent. It just felt like a show that could really speak to now. So I'm gutted that's sort of being postponed. And I'm in Dublin quite a bit, so I'd actually booked into a load of shows in Project. This is Pop Baby had like a festival on, like a 2-3 week festival, so which included like Works in Progress and Malaprop's new show. So I was actually booked in to see shows at the weekend we shut down, and then the following weekend, and then I was due down to see Patchwork and Bewley's the following Tuesday. So I'd like a whole like series of trips planned, and they all just went as soon as the South went into lockdown on the 12th. Like that's all up in the air in terms of whether they're going to come back or not, but I really, really hope that they do. And I was also really looking forward to Macca's Body Politics in the Mac. I think that was one of the first decisions that was actually made by a Northern company to put off that show. So yeah, there's just loads of stuff I booked into and really looking forward to. Stuff at the Gate, kind of Nancy Harris's play I was kind of booked in to see, and yeah, so a lot of work, a lot of really, really interesting work that I was really looking forward to is sort of gone, and you don't know whether it's going to come back or not. It's all a bit precarious at the moment. But I hope it does.
Yeah, I mean, one of the lovely things that I've got, that I assume is part of the job, but it's also, it's always great to see you at different events. What's the kind of, what's one of the best things about, being the literary manager of the Lyric? What's one of your favourite things? But is it getting out there just to see an absolute ton of stuff, or is it, what is it that's absolutely your favourite at the moment?
It's like a bit of everything, to be honest. It's like I really, really love seeing, well, like I love theatre, so I love kind of going to see theatre, and especially new shows, and I'm always really, really interested to see what people are interested in writing about kind of now, and also but reading scripts as well. I suppose the thing I enjoy the most is actually meeting artists and trying to support them in any way you can, like to be a facilitator really, to kind of give them whatever tools or whatever kind of resources or advice they need to develop the work and to kind of ideally get the work on. So it's actually everything to do with it, and I would try to get out to see as much theatre as I can. I mean, certainly in Northern Ireland, but I would, like I say, would be in the south quite a bit, and we go to Dublin maybe at least once a month, if not more. London as often as I can. Obviously kind of Edinburgh Fringe is like a highlight of the year, like ironically where you see most Irish work is at the Edinburgh Fringe. So it's a bit of everything, I suppose. I really, really enjoy that support role, I suppose, kind of being that facilitator.
Yeah, what kind of brought you to the role of literary manager in the Lyric? What was the attraction to it? Is it just getting to be on the pulse with new writers and artists, as you've been saying? But what was kind of first attracted you to it?
Well, I suppose it was like a circuitous route that kind of brought me to the roles. So I actually worked in Bookfinders, this kind of amazing second-hand bookshop, a bit of like an institution in Belfast, like the longest serving member of staff or the longest surviving member of staff there. So we would run like poetry nights and prose nights and like do kind of book, help, Mary Denver, the owner, kind of do kind of various events there. And then I worked at NI Screen for a couple of years and kind of worked in funding, but also did script development. So that's where I really kind of got the bug for it, really. Like I really, really loved working with writers. I love reading their work, and again, facilitating the development of their work and asking, I suppose, like learning to ask the right questions, I suppose, to kind of help them kind of get there. And then I worked for Craft and I for a couple of years, which is kind of artist support and development. So in terms of the Lyric, I mean, I was in the Youth Lyric whenever I was a teenager, so it always had this really kind of magical space in my conscious. I remember really vividly going to see kind of my first shows at the Lyric. One of the things I remember most was I went to see whenever I was really, really young, like it must have been like definitely young primary school, and I went to see the Christmas show. And as we were kind of leaving, kind of waiting for a bus, like hanging around afterwards, I remember seeing kind of one of the young actors who'd been in, was a star of the show, come out in his school uniform, obviously to kind of go to go to class, go to the rest of his class for the day, and my little mind like being blown by that you could be like, there was someone that was kind of my age or a little bit older that was able to kind of live in this kind of amazing kind of magical world. So in terms of like the lyric specifically, it had like a really, really strong place in my heart, I suppose. So yeah, just to continue, I think I mean I really love working with writers, so I suppose that was the main attraction, and to see who was out there and what they were writing about. One of the kind of the big things whenever I started was engaging with, I suppose, that next generation of Northern Irish writers, to see who was out there, because the theatre kind of hadn't really had like an open call for a while. So that was kind of one of the main priorities, was to be kind of being, to go out to see work, to ask for scripts, to really engage with that wealth of talent that's in the region.
Yeah, I mean, the lyric, I think everyone can remember the old lyric building, who's of our generation, and how, that kind of 1970s building had such a lovely feel going into it. I mean, it's even nicer now with the new lyrics kind of building so light and airy going into it, but there's certainly some lovely nostalgia about the feeling going into the old lyric, up those couple of steps into this kind of, what is in my memory now, a big brown monstrosity with a lovely set of open stairs. But it's such a defining thing, I think, for lots of us growing up in Belfast and Northern Ireland, going to the Lyric and getting to see shows from, everything from Brian Friel to W.B. Yeats. I think some of my weirdest memories and early memories are getting to perform amateur W.B. Yeats on the Lyric stage. Back in when I used to actually perform things, and it was such a lovely building. But the Lyric now is just levels above, and it feels so lovely to go into it. It's nice to feel that that is a place for writers to be welcome to now, as much as I suppose it always was, but that you're deliberately doing that much more now. Obviously, a lot of that's postponed and kind of trailing off for a little bit. What do you think? What would be good for writers to know in this kind of period of kind of lockdown? You mentioned the kind of the questions that you'd like to ask. What do you think the best kind of questions people should be asking themselves at the moment, because they can't get access to anyone? What kind of things should young writers and not so young writers be doing at the moment?
That's really interesting. I think the first thing to say is, if you don't want to or feel like writing, that's absolutely okay. We do we have a new playwrights program, and as part of it we have like a masterclasses with kind of visiting dramaturgs and writers and directors, and kind of one of my favorite things about that is that I really, really love it when people come on and they kind of contradict the last person, because it shows that there's no right way to do it. It's whatever way you find you can write is the way you write. I think so much of writing is tricking yourself into writing.
It feels like you should be hosting like a dramaturgy fight night between different kind of dramaturgs.
It's like sudden death.
Audience votes on the best tool to use on your script development. Yeah,
well, but then there's no best tool, because it depends on your personality. It depends how what your process is, because you have some people who are absolutely committed to this idea of the professional writer. You get up at 8:30, you're at your desk at 9, you work right through, you have like a 1 hour lunch break, you finish at 6, and you do that Monday to Friday, and you're very, very disciplined. And if that works for you, that's absolutely fantastic. But yet there's a whole other school of thought that says that why should you force yourself to be creative whenever you really, really aren't feeling creative? And actually by not doing anything for a week or two, by thinking things through, you'll have like an amazing productive 3-day weekend where you'll write 3,000 4,000 words. So I don't think it's like there's not one way to do it, and I think that's what emerges from the masterclasses, where you have writers turning up that would say that they don't have a process, that they kind of really aren't sure what to do, but then through listening to people they actually realize that they do have a way that they do it, or they cherry pick different ideas from different people. But I think the main thing to say is that if you don't feel like doing anything, because this is a very kind of precarious anxious time, then that's absolutely fine. Don't beat yourself up about that. I think whenever we first went into lockdown, there was like a real flurry of activity and like a real sense of people trying to fight against, this sort of sense of inertia and kind of being, trapped and locked in your house. But I think the past, now we're in like the third or fourth week of it. I think I'm seeing a lot more people on social media talking about, being open about their mental health and about their anxiety and about the feeling of exhaustion. I mean, certainly kind of I can relate as well. Suddenly you're having all this screen time where, if you are working, you're conducting everything you do with the screen. You're either reading work or you're doing something like this, which is Zoom. But then also all your leisure time is on screen as well. So it can be really, really overwhelming. So I think that's the main thing to say, is that if you're feeling creative, that's fantastic. But if you're not, it's okay. I think you're asking about like, if tips or something for writing. I think the number one way to get inspiration is to kind of to read as much as possible. If you're feeling that you can read and you want to read plays, then do that.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I mean, the interesting thing with quarantines and lockdowns is that everyone, I think, is a lot of people in the sector would have already seen the idea that Shakespeare wrote an absolute ton of his plays in quarantine for the plague. It's interesting to think of Hamlet and things coming out of a period of absolute quarantine. I mean, yes, we should all be taking care of ourselves, and I certainly hope that we all, people are prioritising their mental health. And those who want to work, I mean, the idea that you could create the next Hamlet would be quite fun. What is there anything you would love to see coming out of it? The quarantine kind of. Any kind of types of work that would be, be exciting to see. As new writing is always kind of about what we're saying, about what is happening right now. And the entire world has just gone into an absolute shutdown. Is there anything that you would love, any kind of voices to come through that you might love to hear?
Well, I suppose like I am bracing myself, like everyone else, to get like a deluge of scripts about self-isolation and quarantine in about 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I don't want to read them, because it's always to do with someone's individual voice or their perspective, and you might have an absolutely incredible, unique, hot take on the situation. So if you want to write about that, then write about that, but do so knowing there's going to be like a hell of a lot of competition for those sorts of plays. I mean, again, coming back to the idea that there was this whole, rush to create content to kick back against, isolation and stasis. I think personally, my feeling is that we can need to be looking kind of longer term. So looking at supporting artists, not so much to be creating content, right now, about now, but I'm really, really interested in the work that's going to become, produced in a year and a half from now, which is going to be obviously developed during this time, but is not going to necessarily speak rapidly to this time.
Yeah.
I think whenever we come out of this situation, we're not going to go back to normal. There's going to be a shift, and I'm really, really interested in artists' responses to that, or imagining what that would be like. So I suppose I really, really hope. We talked about it a little bit in terms of like artist support and governmental or kind of an arts council responses to kind of that. So I really, really hope there's some clarity and some proper support for artists.
Well, we're recording this obviously before the Arts Council has announced the exact mechanism, but we might be broadcasting it just after hopefully just after they've maybe announced how people might apply. But certainly it's a great thought. We are kind of, a lot of people are taking stock about how the sector is funded, how the sector is designed, and how do we work together, collectively for the better well-being. And thinking long term is a lovely thing to do in this moment where we've actually got to take a breath to think about what systems are we going to put in place to not only just recover but to recover well. Is there anything that you would love to that you've been wanting to do for a while that you haven't had time because of the urgent pressure of always producing, always developing, always having something coming through? Is there something that you would love to recommend, even not just for you at the Lyric, because the things that you would love to see other places that now we've got time to think about that we might be able to design?
I mean, that's difficult to answer, because I'm hoping in this time that we're going to be thinking about that. I think one of the things that it's really, really interesting, isn't it? Because we're all in the business of making live work. The thing that works about theatre that we're so passionate about, that is so interesting, is that it's a live experience, and it's the collective experience that we're all we're all there together. It's a social activity, so that can't happen now. So it's interesting to me that theatre makers are now in the business of creating kind of digital content, which has pros and cons to it. Let's just say it's interesting, and I suppose, yeah, it's like what was it with the different the methodology in terms of making work as well, like the different approaches were you asking about, or
if we've got time to
venues or organisations?
Yeah, I mean, you were just saying you wanted to see things, when we come back out of it, put better systems in place. I'm just wondering, what did you think? Anything, of course, yes, those things are being developed now, or some people are thinking about them now. But just, is there anything that came to mind that you would love to see, in an ideal world, just come into place? Do we need a system in Northern Ireland that's like Rough Magic have in the south with the Seeds program? Do we want to have? What is the ideal that you would love to have come in place that would just that we haven't had time to put in place before, or just no one's been able to do it, that you would think now is the time to think about how should we actually do this?
I mean, like, aside from a full-on socialist revolution, which is what I actually want, which I think, let's talk that big. I think you talk about the systems being in place for artists and for making work. I think it's actually what's potentially up for grabs is something much bigger. It's actually the systems of power, the systems of governance are actually up for grabs.
Yeah.
There's a lot at stake, and I think kind of one of the big things I suppose I'm looking at is just what this situation has done is just highlight the precariousness of freelancers and kind of 0 hours contract. And I think something that we knew before this is really, really thrown into relief, is that there really isn't adequate support, I think, for freelancers, or that sense of security, that sense of that it's been shared loads, and I'm totally stealing something from Twitter, and it's like a cliche, but it's really, really interesting in these times of difficulty that freelancers and people on kind of 0 hour contracts are expected to have savings, but billionaires and massive corporations are expected to be bailed out. I think there's something really wrong with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you were talking about theatre, but I genuinely think there will be a shift coming out of this. And I think it's people's opportunity to kind of really, think about the systems of power, which kind of permeate everything, not just the arts, but...
Yeah, certainly it's one of my biggest fears is, well, not my biggest fears, maybe that's being slightly hyperbolic, but I would agree with you on the socialist revolution, but certainly it's a fear that we'll just go back to normal, right back to kind of exactly the neoliberal kind of nightmare that we've all been struggling through for a very long time, and or growing up in. I suppose it's we're grew up in the 80s under Thatcher, and that kind of mindset has pervaded everything since. So it's hard to see how the world will change unless there was a massive catastrophe. And I suppose a lot of people have been waiting for a massive catastrophe, just not particularly this one, to kind of show that that it is just a massive house of cards. But it certainly would be lovely to is it things like universal basic income that you would love to see, or what kind of things would you, if you were Prime Minister on day one of the Reformation, what would you put in place?
Like, just don't give me power. Like,
That's the people who you want to give power to. You want to give the power to the people who don't want power. It's the people who have power and want power. You have to stay away from them.
just turn into a despot. But
Benevolent despot.
Like, I don't want to. Like, I'm not gonna like put myself up as like an economist or like, you know, someone who's like super like a political analyst or whatever. But yeah, universal income looks pretty good. But it's people always like use like Norway and like Oman has universal income as well. But like they are huge oil rich states.
Yeah.
But like distribution of wealth just a little bit would be nice. I think. Yeah, it's just the fact that so many people have had work cancelled, and they're already through like you know in week one we're thrown into really serious economic kind of dire straits.
Yeah.
That isn't right. That shouldn't be the way it is.
Yeah, I think one of the loveliest stories I read at the beginning was people like taxi drivers who were immediately. They didn't quite. There was a couple of stories of people didn't realize just how close to the wire the entire country was, and they kind of the kind of people who would go, don't like the scrounging freelancers or don't like the scrounging such and such, and then all of a sudden the bottom's falling out of everywhere, and there's a nice understanding of how difficult it is to be on the benefit system, how difficult universal credit is, and so many other systems that are put in place to they're meant to be put in place to protect us and to help us, and it's just they haven't been like that for a very long time. Mm-hmm. I'll bring it back a little bit to literary management.
Yeah,
Sorry?
just back to theatre, away from the revolution.
Oh no, that would go full on revolution. No, but is there a favourite? We're talking about dramaturgs fighting, or I was. Is there a favourite dramaturgy hero that you've got that you would love to pick their brain about? Anything, any specific scripts or things like that?
Oh well, here look, because so the masterclasses that we run, so basically that's my opportunity to bring in, like invite in my dramaturgy heroes and meet them and just grill them under the auspices of development. So I've had some really, really great people over, and they're my peers and my colleagues, and they're amazing. So we've had fantastic people over, like Suzanne Bell, who works at Royal Exchange in Manchester and also oversees the Bruntwood Prize. She just won the Kenneth Tynan Award. She is superb, really fantastic. Like Southern colleagues like Louise Stevens at the Abbey and Pam McQueen, who works at New Theatre. You just learn so much kind of from them and kind of conversations with them, how they approach work. We had Dio Halloran over from the Bush last summer. Graham Wybrow, a legend, kind of worked the Royal Court and the Lair. So it's that those are my opportunity to bring over people that I'm really, really interested in, and I learn a lot from them. And it's also great because it kind of puts, for writers here, it kind of puts a face to the name, so that whenever they're approaching kind of theatres in the UK or Ireland, that they kind of maybe have a bit more confidence about doing that, because I think some Northern Irish writers, and some of them have kind of suggested this to me, they kind of feel a bit anxious about approaching kind of other theatres, like will they be interested in my work, will they be interested in kind of a Northern Irish writer, Northern Irish work. So yeah, everyone we've brought over or up or down or around has been kind of really supportive of the writers, and given a lot of their time, and also kind of beyond that they've done the masterclasses, but often they've stayed in touch, and I can send them work and we'll have a conversation about kind of writers I'm working with. So it's kind of the literary managers that are currently working around the UK and Ireland. Also, they're mostly Irish, which is kind of something I know, like Jill Greer now in Soho, Ellie White in the Trav, as well as those I've mentioned before, are all Irish. So
yeah, it's one of those things that I feel that local artists, when they're coming up, kind of feel, as you said, they can't just email someone Whereas a similar person in England and Scotland, they feel that there's, I don't know whether it's the sea border or whatever it is, or different borders, we feel that we can't reach out in the same way. And other cheeky little writers will email Graham Wyberry and say, hey, look at this, please. But we can. Most people in the sector are absolutely lovely everywhere, and we'll happily do a cup of tea and a chat, and it's well worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like I mean, from my perspective, I will always look for an opportunity to have a cup of tea and a chat about writing, because it gets me away from in front of a screen and actually talking to a writer, which I would much rather prefer to do, talk about their script.
Yeah. Now virtual cup of teas come with the screen, unfortunately.
Virtual afternoon tea, virtual coffee morning, and literally all literary managers that I know are exactly the same. They're really open to just dropping them an email. When are you free? Can I have a chat to you about this? It's like I suppose it's not just the accessibility; it's the confidence to send that first email or something, or to put yourself up for that award, like Papa Tango and Bruntwood. They receive thousands of scripts. They'll give feedback. So why shouldn't you? But can apply to those as well.
Likewise, the Jerwood Bursary is a really good one. They've done a fantastic job of trying to get artists to come in and be invigilators as part of the actual assessment of it. And those bursaries are now they're actively trying to make sure that they're much more focused upon the nation as a whole. And I know quite a few writers who even won't actually apply to the ACNI SciUp because they just don't quite think about it of themselves as needing funding to do what they do, but there are structures there to help that both national and local. I think just to wrap up, you mentioned that if we have the energy and the drive to do some reading, you mentioned is one of the key things that you would suggest read. Anything on the preferred reading list that you might suggest for anyone?
Yes, right. This is like a merciless plug for I suppose lyric shows. We've got some play texts from shows that were performed kind of the past couple of years. So like Far Below by Owen McCafferty, The Alternative that was co-produced with Fishamble by Michael Patrick and Oisin Kearney, All Mod Cons by Erica Murray, artist in residence last year, and Crocodile Fever by Megan Tyler. So those are all available if from the lyric, if you want to contact us and order some of those.
We can order it directly from the lyric as well now.
Yeah, you can. They're all there.
There
so if you want to just drop someone a line or drop me a line,
Lovely.
I can kind of get books to you. Who else do I love? Fishamble have a lot of texts. They have like an online store as well, and the Royal Court as well. Like basically all the the online stores, the National Theatre as well.
Yeah, Bush.
That will deliver to you. Just trying to think who I really love. Annie Baker. I'm just obsessed with her. I think she's fantastic. I've just read 7 Methods of Killing Kylie Jenner, which is amazing. It's by Jasmine Lee Jones, so I'd recommend that highly. And I've ordered, but no, I've got it here, but I haven't read A Very Expensive Poison by Lucy Preble.
Oh, lovely. Love a bit of Lucy Preble.
It just won the Susan Smith Blackburn prize. So it's good.
Brilliant.
And she writes Succession as well. So just trying to think what else. Nick Hearn, the publisher, have like a play reading group. So every week they will let you download for free or read online for free like a text. So I think this last week was Yan. So you can kind of access it for free, and then you can read it and then join like an online chat about it.
That's brilliant.
Or even if you want to read the play and not chat about it to people on Twitter, that's also fine. That's really, really good. So if you can check their Twitter, all the details are there for that.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
No, pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on to the chat show.
Yeah, chat show. Yeah, thank you so much, and please stay well, as I'm hoping you will be, and to others. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Stay safe and stay well.
There we go. Thank you very much to Rebecca from the Lyric for coming in, or for zooming in and having a little bit of a conversation. That was quite fun for us. At the beginning of the week, we actually were all set up for the Cinepunk show that was on at the beginning of the week. If you haven't seen it, it's still on YouTube, so please check it out. So that's why we're interviewing from the bar, which is kind of a weird situation for me. But thank you so much to Rebecca and also to Niall, who was switching at that point. Niall, that was your first experience of using our switcher. How was that for you?
It was actually pretty straightforward, but I was also highly aware that if anything went wrong, I had no recourse to fix anything because there was just so much equipment. But I thought it went pretty well.
Yeah, I think you did a great job. Feel free to comment on Niall's switching abilities during from the recording. Feel free to send us what you think. Our hashtag is still talk@AT or talk@at. That name is also up for grabs. If anyone wants to give us a better name for whatever the heck this is, please feel free. The Cinepunk show is on YouTube. We're going to put the Rebecca interview up on YouTube later on as well, so that you'll have that to look at. Please feel free to share and like. Give us a wee subscribe because it's always really helpful to the show. Feel free to any of the artists that we feature today to pop them a wee follow as well, because it really helps whenever you build up a following on YouTube and things like that. The algorithms and the monetization options really change for people, and it really helps people become more self-sustainable if they have a much larger audience. So those subscribes and likes really, really help. So we're going to now introduce Niamh from Theatre NI, who's joining us. I'm kind of changing my wee graphic here. So Niamh, thanks very much for zooming in. As I'm assuming is now going to be a phrase that people use for these kind of video conferences. Thanks very much for joining us.
No problem at all. Delighted. Thanks for asking me.
So we're going to just have a bit of a natter about what's going on, and also kind of any help and things that's out there in the sector. Just kind of signposting things and stuff like that. So it's going to be quite a rough conversation, but tell us anything you would like to tell us, and signpost us to anywhere you want to signpost us. I've got a bit of a graphic from the Arts Council's website, which they've updated recently to show a lot more help. So I'll put that up on the screen at some point towards the end, because it's actually quite a good resource for people, because it's got a lot more links now. Strange enough, to other charities helping charities, because that seems to be the main help for charitable organisations right now, is other charitable organisations stepping up.
Yeah, we've been doing sort of the same thing as well, and putting up on the website. So if people want to go to our website, and the funding is on the right hand side, there are links to funders. And there's also links, interestingly, for people who are freelancers. So like there's an Actors Benevolent Fund, where if you're an actor who has children, you can apply to that fund for immediate hardship support. There's Stage 1, there's a fund for people who are producers. There's other ones, but if you go on to, we put up an initial document very early on, I think it was last week, and that was about key areas where you can go for advice. So around funding, around universal credit, and one of the things I would say is, people should definitely get in touch with the Law Centre in Northern Ireland or Advice NI. They're experts there in relation to any problems that people have with signing on to employment support allowance or for universal credit. And I think one of the things that's really important is that people do let those organisations, apart from just getting support for themselves immediately, but these organisations have access to government, and are preparing reports and presentations to people who make decisions, and the moves up the chain. So to share that information with them, it'll be recorded, and they have facilities then which enables them to present that information in a format which can help change things, because you can see already that there's amendments to legislation on areas where particularly where people are falling through the gaps. Now there's still a long way to go, particularly around freelancers and, you know, support for businesses, you probably know yourselves, and also the whole issue around furloughing. So what I'd say is on our website, there's a raft of information. It's really useful. Keep in with the Arts Council website as well. Everybody's talking to each other, which I think is really fantastic about the whole thing, is that there's a real sense of community in the sector now in terms of people helping each other out. I want to refer particularly to the support that some of the individuals, the freelancers, have created. The forum, the Bread and Butter Fund that Abby Spallon created and donated £1,000 of her own money to. So, you know, doing something like that is absolutely incredible. And they've had 191 responses to the application when it opened within 30 minutes. So that will give you an idea of how much need there is there, particularly among freelancers and independent artists. And also, Finn Kennedy deserves a shout out as well. She set up that forum for the freelancers surviving the coronavirus. So there's like a lot of information on there and people sharing their experiences. And that collaborative effort is just a joy, particularly for an organisation like ourselves who want to see the sector connect better. To see that type of thing happening now shows what's possible when we come out the other end of it. You know, it'll be fantastic to see everybody connecting and collaborating more, so that we can become a real force for change and a voice for the sector, which is really good. So big call out also to Abby and to Finn for that. They've been doing all of this on a voluntary basis, and the information's from the ground up. It's about real people's experience of what the hardship that they're facing and the difficulties that they're having. And you know, there's a form of solace there, and there's also hope, and they're sharing information, which is really good. And I think that's fantastic. And then obviously Tinderbox have their fund, and Replay have their contribution as well. So you know, it's great.
Big Telly, isn't it? Big Telly opened up a
and Big Telly as well, and there are others. And apologies to anybody. I think anybody that I miss out. You know, one of the things is that the information's evolving so quickly. And it's really scary at how quickly it's evolving, but it's also good because things are changing quite rapidly as well. So yeah, we've been just really busy. It's difficult to get used to the Zoom business, as I'll call it. I'm not the most technologically adept, we'll call it, person in the whole world, but you know, needs must. And we've had a board meeting, as you know, by Zoom. We've had, as you know, we're going through a merger at the moment, so we've meetings on Zoom about that, and lots of conversation with our legal team, etc. So all of that's going on behind the scenes. But I also want to give a call out to Molly, who's working out in Bangor. She's in her house and has just pulled together our latest e-zine, and there's lots of really good information in that as well. I've just got
e-zine is going out later this week?
I think it'll probably go out tomorrow afternoon. So once we get
the website for people, that's theatreni.org, is that correct? If I'm remembering right?
Yeah. Now our members because of the automated MailChimp and the way it's set up, it's members who get it. So you know, but most of the information that's on the e-zine is on our website anyway.
Yeah, it goes into the news section as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, we have a news section, yeah. But also we developed a remote teaching resource, because we're very aware. One of the things that's been highlighted is how vulnerable the freelancers and the independent artists who are not connected into networks are. So, you know, in terms of safeguarding and, you know, safeguarding policies, organisations all have to have them, obviously, and they have to be quite active. But we're really aware that a lot of the independent artists maybe haven't had the safeguarding training, or might inadvertently, do something that they're not quite sure about or is correct in terms of safeguarding. So we put out that information resource for people to go online and see how they can set up their own safeguarding policy, and just read the documentation around how keeping themselves safe and keeping children and vulnerable adults safe as well, while they're conducting possibly online teaching or whatever. And Sarah Farrell, the Education Authority, has been really good in terms of providing information, and there's a template there for people to go on and develop their own code of conduct and their online safeguarding remote teaching policy. So yeah, it's been really, really, really busy. It's quite lonely, actually, even with the Zoom. It's quite isolating. Yeah, you get a lot done because you're not interrupted. I think that's really good. We, as you know, are in the Crescent, so it's a fantastic hub just up the road from yourselves. And there's always people about. And right up until Wednesday week ago, we were meeting people, obviously social distancing at the time. So I love that, where our members or just other people who are not members can come in and have a chat and have us, get information from us, and share that information with other people as well. So that's it, really. But we've been working really, as I said earlier, one of the really interesting things has been we've been working with UK Theatre and Federation Scottish Theatre and Crowd Cymru, and we have asked questions of the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland and all of the relevant parliamentarians in each of the jurisdictions. So just around issues facing our sector. So we've had responses from some of those people already, which has been really good. So we were just asking them about the importance of business continuity and, getting clear guidance on our companies who face significant losses. Also important in terms of when we might be reopening again, so that people can start planning, because we need product as well from our artists in order to open up again. So it's really important that the sector is given the resources to being able to make work, so that there's some product at the end of the day when we do open up again. But crucially also to enable organisations to plan for that, and I suppose also to enable people to have a bit of hope that there will be work again. But I think it's really, really important that people know that this will open up again and that there will be work. And hopefully, as I said earlier, a strengthened sector. I certainly think that one of the remarkable things about this period of closure has been the amount of people who have been accessing arts online. That's their go-to place. And that is a strength for us in terms of making the argument for future resourcing for the sector, which is just critical. So that
do you think the government will be paying a little bit more attention to the importance of arts within the sector? It's not just a community resource as the Northern Irish government often kind of thinks of it as, but as a much more kind of wider societal impact. Is that more clear now?
I think there's a bit of work to be done, and I think at the end of the day, you're a venue yourselves with a whole network of people and a business. You're a critical business in that part of Belfast. You animate that side of the town. That's the sort of softer impact. But you're a business that creates an economy. You pay people. You resource people to create work. All of these things have indirect impacts in terms of the broader culture. Let's call it the cultural economy. I don't think the government can ignore that anymore. You just have to see how dead the city centre is and how dead other parts of Belfast are. And where are the people going to. They're going to venues where there's entertainment that's created by artists. So this is we're critical part of the economy, and certainly our hope is that going forward that will be recognised by the government up at Stormont and beyond, and that there's a proper value and recognition within the future programme for government, and I mean across all the areas of the programme for government, so that resourcing can be cascaded down into the sector, and that we get the sector that's supported and deservedly so, and a sector that's animated and secure enough to make great work. Our artists can't make great work unless they've got their basic needs met.
Yeah.
So, hopefully all those messaging going forward that government will, and when we come out of this, will resource the sector properly.
Is it an encouraging thing that the minister has set aside a specific 1 million fund for the sector? Is that a sign that they might be aware of the difficulty, or at least be more aware of funding the sector in the future, because they have kind of cut it each year bit by bit by bit?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you well know, the sector's cut by almost 40% in the last number of years, and was at a critical point already. But I do think that that's recognition by the minister of the importance of the sector, and hopefully we'll hear very soon about how that money's going to be distributed. My understanding is that the Arts Council were meeting this week. So the board of the Arts Council, I'm assuming that part of that decision will be about how those funds, or that 1 million is dispersed, will be part of that agenda. I am assuming, obviously, but I can't imagine that it wouldn't be. So hopefully there'd be a little...
We played the Roisin's announcement earlier on in the episode, just that they are working on that, and I think they understand the urgency, but I don't think I think everyone can appreciate the stress that we're all under, waiting to find out whether our businesses, we're stuck between the idea that we're a business and a charity. We can't get accidental directly. We can't get the money from the small business grant or the retail grant, because we have a property, but we have a property that is zero rated on rates. So that's now no longer applicable underneath that scheme. So it means that we can't get the business grant, we can't get the retail grant. A lot of our staff aren't on PAYE because of they're either freelancers or they're underneath the PAYE thresholds. So it's a really quite difficult kind of situation to be stuck. So it's nice to know that there might be something coming directly from our main funder in the sector, but it is certainly very stressful day on day not knowing whether we'll be able to even reopen in 2 months' time if the quarantine lifts then, which I'm assuming it will. We're not going to be closed down for the entire year because of what by the looks of it, but certainly we're not planning on opening really in June. We're hoping to open in July, it might be as late as August.
Really? Yeah, I mean, there's lots of our members are in similar situations to yourselves. People that are falling through the gap. The Arts Council are aware of those gaps, and that's what this letter here that we sent to the Secretary of State and the other MP, the relevant ministers and other MPs, and that's across all of Scotland, Wales, and England and Northern Ireland. They are aware of those gaps. But we need the information to keep coming. If you've got a specific issue like you've just described, put it in an email and send it to the Arts Council, send it to your local MP, send it to your local MLA, send it so that the more information that goes, and send it to ourselves. We're at the moment compiling, for example, we're compiling with our UK counterparts information on how people are falling through the gaps in the job retention scheme, so because that's another area. But the nuances of the support measures are evolving continuously. Some people, there's information dribbling out, if you want to use, for want of a better word, I suppose. So it's really important that you let us know, and let the Arts Council know, and let the others, particularly your political representatives who are making decisions on the key issues affecting our sector, let them know, so that they have that information. I think it's really, really important that we use those resources at the moment, and hopefully that information on how the sector is going to be supported will come out very, very, very soon. So a tweet, excuse me, this morning from Caelan Curry Thompson. Arts Council are very aware of what's going on and a lot of those gaps, and hopefully this fund will address them in some way.
Yeah, I'm popping up on screen now just the direct from the Arts Council's website, the kind of information that they've already put out. Now the top kind of information is kind of pretty much what everyone's seen already: the business grant, the grant for the job retention scheme. But underneath that, there's a lovely long list of different charities. As we mentioned, the charities have stepped up to help other charities. And there's a lovely long list there of kind of other resources that people might be able to get, both as companies and as individual artists. It's a really useful kind of page. So I would certainly, it's been very helpful to us. Whether it's helpful to others, please have a look and see what you think. Certainly we've been kind of applying to one or two organisations a week on our end, just to try and find that little bit of money that'll help cover our shortfall. The situation for individual artists is obviously quite difficult, as you've already highlighted, and the kind of two funds, the donation fund that Abby and Finn set up, that's fantastic. Is there anywhere else that you've kind of noted that people might be able to go just for a bit of extra hope? Because the Arts Council have said they will help individual artists, so that's definitely coming. But is there anything else?
Yeah, as I said earlier, there's, if you've got Children, the Actors Benevolent Fund, you've got the Equity Benevolent Fund, you've got the Remote Engagement Seed Fund from Arts and Business Northern Ireland, which is, I can't remember the exact details, it was on our website as well. Hopefully this new Arts Council one will address the needs of the independents and the freelancers, not forgetting also about the stage crew people and the technicians and all of those other people that make work happen, because very often, as you well know, those people are not part of the sort of broader networks that many of us belong to, and they're a lot of them are in freelance capacities as well now, since the austerity cuts of the last while, so they're not getting the support, and the loss of income that we have heard about has just been unbelievable. Must be so frightening for people. But our EZ's coming out, as I said, Richard. I'm just going to check and see what those other funds are. That I can't remember them all. But as I said, they're on our website.
There's quite a lot, thankfully, out there, but it is quite stressful, kind of trying to go through everyone and then make a separate application to every single one. It is quite difficult.
I mean, if you look, what's really interesting, if you look at some of the other European countries, particularly the city of Berlin, oh my goodness, how we would love to have that level of value placed on our arts and cultural sector. Immediate 4 days. And there was immediate support for independents, freelancers and cultural organisations. I mean, what an incredible amount of money. How do we get to there? We need to learn from them. We need to learn from them in terms of how to lobby our politicians. How also, I think, do we get our public to value our organisations and what we bring to society here? That is a big question that needs to be addressed, and I don't know what the answer is. Is it because our public are so used to I guess public support for the arts that they kind of just expect it, or is it I don't know, what do you think?
I mean, so that's been always one of those kind of questions that we've been fighting with. Is the Arts Council did that? Was not the Arts Council actually? The actual ministers had that whole kind of inquiry, for lack of a better word, into working class support for the arts. Yeah, and which is slightly insulting, I think, to anyone, because most of there's a lot of artists within the sector who already would be classed as, working class, for lack of a better term. It's the sector is made up of people from everywhere, and the idea that the public don't engage because of economic reasons, I think, is pretty insulting. There's a lot of societal things and a lot of things from the top, even the devaluation of the arts. Nigel Dodds' famous statement that we've got too many festivals. The idea that there's a festival week is too many. That's ridiculous. The idea that any other country, Berlin, if they had a festival week, they'd be absolutely celebrating it. The idea that there's so much culture on, not kind of downgrading it and degrading it. I think a lot of that comes from the top, and if there wasn't a wider acceptance of its importance and the joy and the fun and the excitement it gives, I think that would filter down very, very quickly.
I think, though, that the sector itself, and particularly independent artists in it as well, have a job to do in positioning themselves as professionals within the sector, and that it's not a wee play or a wee hobby. I hear this all the time. You're a professional. Many people that I know who are independent practitioners don't denigrate themselves, but I think they need to be shouting out louder about the talent that they have, the professional training that they have, and what they can do. And interestingly, I think that they should also they need to get their own families to champion them as professionals. It's not a wee hobby or a wee play. We need to get rid of that. There's wee hobbies. We all have lots of hobbies and do things, but your members are working as professionals in a sector that needs to be resourced. And while there's the image of it as we, it denigrates the work, it denigrates the individual. So I think that the sector has a lot to do itself, and particularly a lot of the artists that are just scurrying away, working probably in many respects because they have to keep the food on the table. But sometimes I think it's just stop and think, what can I do more to be more connected into the sector, to advocate not only with other networks like ourselves, but to connect and tell us your stories so that we can share them with people who denigrate our sector or don't place enough value on it. And I think that that's one thing that I would really say to artists. You need your mum, your dad, your whoever in your family. It's great that they all go to see you in plays or in what you do, dance or whatever element of the performing arts. But you need to yourselves be, so next time the politician comes looking for the vote, well, I get your mum, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, your aunties, your uncles, whoever in your family and your neighbours to ask what are they doing? What's their policy on supporting the arts? So I think that we all have a job to do, but I think in particular, independent artists need to really, really, really get their families to start championing them as professionals and asking those difficult questions of our politicians, because the politicians can make the policy which changes or help make the policy and get the legislation through in order for people to be supported, and then cascades down in terms of the amount of resourcing that comes into our sector. So I look forward to a very active group of freelancers asking for more resourcing into our sector, working with all of the different organisations to have your voice heard, and look forward to that, as I said.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything we could be doing now just to get ready for that? If do we emerge from the lockdown with a better sense of community and a better sense of a shared direction, or is it just we should be kind of telling people now, look, tell people about us, we will be back?
Sorry, Richard, I don't know what you mean.
Well, we're all stuck indoors, stuck in the lockdown, and certainly there's a fear within Accidental is that it'll take months and months and months to go back to any sort of parity to where we were before the shutdown, and there'll be plenty of time within that kind of rebuilding to re-steer the narrative. At the moment there's no way that people will be able to take on board any other kind of questions other than COVID-19. But at some point there will be space for a wider conversation. Do we prepare for that now? Should we be having large Zoom meetings now, so that when we emerge from the lockdown, or whenever we do emerge, how do we coalesce that kind of that kind of argument and say, let's beyond just sharing it to our families and friends and kind of taking more pride in in our sector, how do we coalesce that fight?
Well, you've got a whole, one suggestion for yourselves, you've got a whole load of people engaging with your organisation. So yeah, absolutely. Get engaged now around a vision for what the sector should look like. What does it look like going forward? A sense of what is required in terms of resourcing. What is your vision of the people that you're engaged with? Absolutely, that needs to be fed into the various developments of policy going forward. Absolutely. Fundamentally, the sector does not operate unless there's core investment in the sector. That's just a said. There has to be resourcing into our sector. We have been decimated by, and one of the things that this pandemic has shown very clearly, I think, is just how fragile the sector is. We all had to get out of the office really quickly. We were already operating, so many people in the small organisations that are working away, they're working ridiculous hours already. It's not sustainable. And the reason for that is because they're not resourced properly, and passion isn't enough. It's resourcing and policy development that is reflective of possibility. I think what is possible. I have always said that the amount of talent here is incredible. And I said at the advocacy meeting that we did in Belfast City Hall, I honestly believe this place can be the Silicon Valley of theatre and the performing arts, but it needs support. So yeah, whatever you can do to coalesce stories that can feed into the development of policy, just keep doing that and make sure it's fed back.
Yeah.
Great. That's what
Thank
I
you
would
so much,
say.
Niamh. I think Niall has a wee question he'd like to ask you, so we'll go back to the four heads, and if Marty and Tommy, if you've got any questions, pop them through as well. Niall?
Yeah, Niamh, thanks so much for speaking to us. That was really eye-opening for me. I was just going to ask, obviously we're all trapped inside and we've all had to adapt very quickly. Artists and performers, they've had to very quickly find a new way of making their art, making a living and making their art accessible to people. Is there anyone in particular, or any organisation in particular you've seen that have done that really well, adapting really quickly to this kind of, the Zoom business, as you put it?
I think yourselves have done a remarkable job. But I don't want to pick out any particular group, to be honest with you, Niall, because there are so many people that have reacted really quickly and have shown their flexibility and resilience. Equally so, there are people who don't know where next week's rent is coming from, and they're utterly incapable of being creative right at this moment. They need food on their table and their rent paid, or their mortgage, or support with their mortgage. So I think it's excellent, and it's wonderful in this world that we're living in, and particularly in the current crisis, that people have reacted so quickly. But we also need to remember that there are people whose art form doesn't respond well to an online content. Whether that be through just by, as I said earlier, the fact that they can't lift their heads because they're so worried about their future, but also just in terms of people who, it's not the way they work. some people might not just be as technologically proficient as other people, so there's issues around that as well. Access to laptops and technology. Parents are sharing laptops at the moment with their children, who in many respects, in many cases, in many homes, are, that laptop's not available to that parent until the afternoon. I know a lot of people who are trying to work that out. They're getting up at 6 a.m. and working till 10, and then they have a very tight schedule of their children doing schooling between 10 onwards or whatever, and then they get back to it then after tea that evening. So it's scheduling and sorting your family out. I mean, we've had Zoom conversation with children on parents' knees, and cats and dogs, and family life. One of the things that's really interesting is that family life comes into play really seriously at times like this, and we all have to be really flexible. And I feel sometimes as if the Zoom has been really good in getting to know people a little bit better, which has been really, really, really nice. But there's also people, for example, who maybe through disability, or they just cannot access online, for whatever reason, that they're going to be excluded in this conversation and in this way of working. And we need to be really cognizant of that we don't exclude people.
Yeah. We're really lucky in that we have, I couldn't rig all this up. This is all Richard's doing, the fact that we can broadcast, from the theatre. But I think you make a really excellent point in that, at the end of the day, it comes down to the resources you have, and if you actually have the, if you have the, you need to be mentally healthy and comfortable. Absolutely. In order to produce anything. So hopefully, when this is all over, we can get to a point where more and more artists have that kind of support,
Yeah, well, one of the things as well, I'm not so sure about how many of your people know about it, but, we have a mental health program in Theatre NI, which has been, I think was March 2018, and members of Theatre NI can access 6 face-to-face counselling sessions at the moment, and 24/7 call for a professional counsellor or therapist not therapist. They're all clinically, it's a clinically led support 24/7, 6 face-to-face at the moment. So, we are very aware from our own experience, but also following the publication of the University of Ulster and Inspire report in April 2018 about how vulnerable our sector is in terms of mental health. So that's our program was set up just shortly before that report came out, but it was great to have that report to help us create the evidence for continuation of that service. So that's been great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Not a bother. Just Richard, just as one of our board members as well, we had some major exciting things happening this year, as maybe you might be aware, might not. Obviously, Richard is aware. But we had IATM coming to Belfast in June, which was a remarkable achievement in terms of it's one of the biggest performing arts networks in Europe, over 500 artists, and beyond. And we had gone into partnership with them to deliver a bespoke campus for 40 people in Belfast in June. And at the moment, we were able to provide 8 people from Northern Ireland with access to bespoke mentoring as part of that whole thing, gone into partnership with the Lyric, the Mac, and Queen's University. So that hasn't been cancelled; it's just been postponed. And that, as I said, is really remarkable that IATM were coming to Belfast. So. As I said, it's been postponed, not cancelled. That's really important. And also we had, with our partners Theatre Forum in Dublin, we were due to work on the IATM satellite in Galway as part of Galway 2020, as well as our annual conference, which is called APAC. Both of those were to take place in June in Galway, and they've all been postponed. But it's interesting, we are working on the assumption that those, the APAC or All Ireland Conference in particular, will take place in a really different format now. And that's really interesting because a lot of it's going to be online, but it also means that we can use online to inform like a bigger Zoom at the end. So like sort of having clusters potentially of information gathering that's relevant to our sector. Something from the north, something from the Midlands of Ireland, the Southwest. I don't know. It's very much open for discussion at the moment. Yeah. Everybody is on immediate sort of planning for immediate needs, as you all know at the moment. But, we've had some really exciting conversations with our partners in Brussels and IATM and with our Dublin partners. And obviously I've already talked about our UK theatre. So it feels really good that like the potential for something really major to come out of all of this is really fantastic. But also, at some level, also to get a chance to reflect has been really important. We haven't had a chance to reflect yet, but we're hoping once the immediate needs have been dealt with, that there's a bit of a space to reflect and work on some really high level strategic thinking with the sector about how we move forward and address the issues that Richard and I were talking about, particularly in relation to strategies and policy development, which in turn will bring resources into our sector through our arm's length body and through our councils and through trusts, etc. But hopefully that will happen in the next month or two.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Niamh, for coming on and having a bit of a chat. And thank you very much for all the signposting. So that's theatreni.org, and to find out news or become a member, even in this time, it's a really very helpful tool to get all the easing information and all those kind of things, as well as then the Arts Council website that we highlighted earlier on as another resource. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no bother. Thanks very much to you too for everything that you're doing, and also as a board member, I thank you very much as well for your ongoing support, Richard. So keep doing what you're doing. It's fantastic, and well done to all of you. And Richard, can I call you if I have any technological hiccups?
Yes, well, I was going to say as well to anyone who has any problems or tech stuff, if you're having problems with shows or if you're having problems with making the transition online or understanding how to get started, with Zoom or anything like that, we are here. We have kind of made the transition to a virtual venue kind of idea that if we're here to help people still reach an audience and reach your audience or even monetize to try and recoup income. So we've always been quite an open organization, and we very much still are, even though we're all trapped in separate rooms in different places. So if you've got ideas or you want to try and do something, you're not too sure what to do with it, please do send us some, get in contact. You can do that via email on info@accidentaltheatre.co.uk, or you can even just give us a phone call. We're in Belfast, 028 90 325 881. All information like that kind of stuff and contacts is on our website as well, and we're always happy for a chat. If you don't hear back from us immediately, just please be aware that we're slightly busy and trying to do our best. So thank you so much. Thanks, Niamh.
Richard, just finally, just everybody keep well and safe, and enjoy your Easter weekend in the confines of the bubble that we're all in at the moment, and be safe. I think that's the most important thing. And stay connected, and thanks a million for the opportunity. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Niamh.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
So, thank you so much again to Niamh. We're going to move over now to a bit of piece from Dan Leith, who has fantastically made a kind of mad little something for us. So we're going to play that now and kind of move over to Dan Leith. It's a reviews in a rabbit onesie. thank you very much to Dan.
Hello, and welcome to Reviews in a Rabbit Onesie, the show in which I, Dan Leith, review things in a rabbit onesie. I don't have a theme tune yet. Coming up in this episode, I am reviewing 2 movies. That's right, and they're going head to head. Sounds a lot more dramatic than it'll actually be. Now, the 2 movies are Bo Burnham's 8th Grade and Olivia Wilde's Booksmart. Bo Burnham, what a guy. He's pretty great, actually. Quite an inspiration of mine. If you don't know who Bo Burnham is, then sort your shit out. He's an amazing musical stand-up comedian and a very good writer, and apparently a very good director as well. Now, 8th Grade centers around someone going into the 8th grade. It doesn't really mean a lot to me because I am from Northern Ireland, and we don't really have a grade system like they do. We don't have middle school, but anyway, it seems like a big deal for the protagonist in this film, who is played by Elsie Fisher, who absolutely knocks it out of the park. She's class. This movie is a tender, touching, funny, and sometimes horrific coming-of-age tale. It's the best way to describe it. It really captures the trepidations and fear and anxiety that come with growing up and trying to socialize when you're a bit of an insular weirdo. Of course, I wouldn't know anything about that. I'm alone with a shark with a cowboy hat on. All I've got to say is good job, Bo. It's a great film. It's real, it's relatable, it's touching in all the right places. The best moments, it really encapsulates what it's like to have your parent walk in on you whilst you're alone with your phone in your bedroom. That panic throw. There's a whole touching relationship with her dad is beautiful, and there's a truth or dare scene that is very tense and uncomfortable, and yet just brilliant filmmaking. If I learned anything from this movie, it's that sometimes quoting Rick and Morty really helps when you're flirting. There's hope for me yet. Wubba-lubba-dub-dub. Beautifully performed, beautifully shot. There's one pool party scene that stands out, and it's almost put together like a horror movie. The tension of having to socialize and be body confident at a pool party. It's not good. I remember those days. I don't. Only one of my friends had a swimming pool, and she never let me use it. So, all in all, it is a very touching and great film, and you'd be an idiot not to watch it. So go watch 8th Grade, Bo Burnham's 8th Grade. Good job, Bo. Good job, Elsie Fisher. You're fucking class. The second film that I'm going to talk about then is Booksmart by Olivia Wilde. It's also her first time directing a feature, and it is a very funny coming-of-age tale about 2 girls who realize that they've spent their entire school life caring too much about school and the academic side of things, so they decide before they graduate they're gonna go to a party and have a bloody great time. So Caitlin Deaner and Beanie Feldstein are class in this movie as the 2 female leads. You could really get a sense of their friendship and what it's like to have a bit of, positive backup in your life. The supporting cast are also great. You've got Will Forte and Lisa Kudrow show up. They're kind of criminally underused, but then it's not about them. But it's always nice to see them, so that's good too. Jason Sudeikis is there, married to Olivia Wilde. Maybe that's nepotism in casting. I mean, I guess it's a movie about friendship first and foremost, and it completely nails it in that regard. There's also good party vibes in this film. It really tackles the issue of trying to find a party when you don't know what the address is. I think it hits that on the head very well. It's also nice to know that someone else's crushes when they were growing up started with the White Cat from the Aristocats, and then Avril Lavigne, and then went on from there. I'm not alone. Awkward moments as well. There's talk about trying to masturbate with an electric toothbrush and getting a UTI. I guess there's a really awkward line about Cardi B that Jason Sudeikis says just after the sound of fingering has been broadcast through the car speaker system. It's a feel-good film. So if you are at home, locked up, which I imagine most of you are, and want to remember those glory days of school and friendship, or just being outside, then yeah, give it a watch. It's really good. Now, the head-to-head. Yeah, I'm just gonna basically tell you which one is better. And to be honest, it's actually it's kind of a tough call. They're both great films. It's like Sophie's Choice, except I don't have any kids and one of them isn't going to get murdered. I think the winner of the head-to-head is probably Bo Burnham's 8th Grade, just because it works on a multitude of levels and layers, whereas Booksmart is just a bitchin' fun comedy about friendship, and it's great. So watch that. Watch Bo Burnham's 8th Grade. Watch Booksmart. Watch them both if you haven't seen them. They're both class. Thank you for watching Reviews in a Rabbit Onesie. I've been Dan Leith, and I am going to stop now. Finn.
Thanks so much to Dan for sending that in. There'll be more reviews in a Rabbit Onesie next week. He's asked for feedback, so please send any feedback to his Facebook account that's on the screen now, and please donate anything you can to his PayPal, which is also on the screen as well. I'm still joined by the stalwarts of the Accidental team, Niall and Tommy, plus our resident house DJ, Marty Byrne. So the kind of things that we've got coming up in the next couple of weeks, we've got an interview with Jimmy Fay, an interview with Richard Wakely, an interview with Stephen Hackett. So Jimmy from the Lyric, Richard from the Belfast Festival, and Stephen from the Belfast Film Festival. So they'll be at different times over the next kind of couple of weeks as we try and schedule people in and find gaps in their self-isolating schedules. If you want us to interview anyone else, if there's anyone you'd love us to interview, we are sending emails out to a ton of different people. If you yourself would like to come on, please do. We'd love to kind of chat with everyone out there, whether you're in Northern Ireland or whether you're in the Republic or in England, Scotland or Wales or further afield in the EU. It's weird to think of the EU now as a different place. It's not in my heart. So we've got the lads with us. Tommy, you're doing Figure This, which is on tomorrow night. That is at 7 p.m. tomorrow night, bookable through the Figure This Eventbrite page, but also you can get a link to it from the Accidental page. So what is Figure This, Tommy, for those who haven't seen it?
Figure This is a life drawing company, but it's different from sort of a lot of classical life drawing because it's a lot more relaxed. It's a more sort of chilled atmosphere. It's about our classes, our in-person classes were on Friday evenings. So it was sort of an alternative to like a lot of people going out and for maybe people that wanted something a bit more chilled, a bit more creative, a bit more relaxed. So our online classes, we're hoping to recreate that. So it's a fun thing to do on Friday night. You don't have to be an artist. You can be starting from scratch. We have Hattie who teaches the classes, and she's there. She gives you some guidance if you want. You don't have to listen to her. You can completely ignore her. You can put on some music. We're going to have a live chat so people can get involved, and it's interactive. You can post pictures of stuff that you're doing. So all in all, it's kind of like a relaxed, chilled environment, a fun way to like get creative. You can get your whole family around. You can all draw, compare drawings and stuff. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's just about having fun and giving you something to do that's alternative to maybe sitting watching Netflix or something a bit more interactive, a bit more creative.
And people can kind of use any of their materials at home. to draw. I think, as Hadi says as well, even a napkin and a biro.
Napkin and a biro is our go-to phrase, but like I said, you don't have to be a professional artist, so pen, paper, sheet of printing paper is fine.
Walls.
Go ahead now.
The walls. Use the walls.
Use the walls, yeah. Draw on your walls if you want. Paint on the walls. Paint along with us.
Is that what you're going to do, Niall, when you're watching along? Are you going to create a nice mural behind you that's going to evolve over the next couple of months?
Yeah, I'm going to start in my bedroom and work my way around the house, and you'll be able to see my progress improve and then I get to the front door, and once I leave the house, I will have made it as an artist. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that, Tommy Ritter. That you don't have to do that.
Not required.
So you can turn your house into a specialist art piece that can go in the home festival after all this is finished.
Yeah, I'll just send them. I'll send an email. I always say this to Tommy. I like to say, "Figure this," and then they have to figure it out. So I'll leave it up to them.
So Tommy, the Figure This is bookable from your Eventbrite. Do you want to give out the link?
It should be. It's easy if you go on Facebook or Figure This Life Drawing, or Instagram, Figure This Life Drawing, and you can find the link to our Eventbrite on there. Either of the Eventbrite and search Figure This Life Drawing, you'll find it as well.
That's brilliant. So give them a like and give them a share on Facebook if you can, as well as have it check it out from the link on the Eventbrite as well. So tomorrow night, 7:00, Figure This, an online drawing class. So involves a life model plus Hattie, the fantastic lead artist and class leader, talking you through the poses and what you can think about whilst drawing. It's pretty fantastic. Guys, and I'm using guys because we've got an incredibly male panel today. How are y'all doing? How has it been so far for you doing Talk at AT?
It's been really good crack. I've really enjoyed it. I always struggle to think of ideas until we do the thing. So I'm wondering, do you think Ian McKellen would be on the show?
And we can send him an email. If anyone has Ian McKellen's email address, please send it through. Or Ian, if you're watching, get in contact. We know that Ian McKellen always watches random streams on regional theatre companies' Facebook pages and YouTubes. Isn't that right? He's known for that.
Yep.
No.
I'm going to try.
Was there talk earlier of getting an ex-Teletubbies?
Yeah.
There was talk of it, but I'm not entirely sure whether that's achievable. But I'm very happy for us to try. Marty, if you want to get in contact with the Teletubbies and Niall, I think you had that hookup, was it? When Niall was at Tommy?
Oh, yeah. We yeah. I don't want to go into it.
You're trying so hard to think of a pun.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say we fought together in Iraq, but that was really left field.
That was a little bit, yeah. Way to take us from one crisis to another. Yeah. So Marty, we've got a bit more of your music to dip into. This is the 4th of March. Something you've created. Can you tell us a little bit about it, or should I play it first and then you can tell us about it?
Whatever you want. It's up to you.
I'm asking you.
Don't
give me more things to do.
There's a fun video for this one actually on YouTube if you want to check it out. But it's it was one day in March there where for a split second there was some sunshine in the sky and I was like, it's that Northern Irish thing. As soon as you see a bit of sun, everyone goes completely bonkers. And it was just it was like about a week or so before things kind of went crazy, so it was still sort of like, haha, look, we can go out and we can have fun. And then a few days later it was like, no, you cannot. But anyway, that was one of the last sort of upbeat songs of the year, celebrating the sunshine.
Okay, well, let's give it a wee play and enjoy thinking of sunshine that we do or do not have depending on when you're watching this.
till you came along and sang that sweet, sweet song of fresh, bright days running through fields in the haze. I'm crazy for you, sweet, bright orange ball of delight. Blind me, burn a hole in my retina. I'm not forgetting that without you I'd be blue and under an ice cap too. Someone wanna kiss the sun is out, it ain't teasing. It's sunny outside, but it's also fucking freezing. Maybe put on a coat. Maybe put on a coat. Autumn breezes in the trees, please don't freeze it. But Jesus out of me just yet. I wanna float and skip and dance and prance. The summertime hint as spring has a glance. Global warming, mobile swarming of beautiful people to the parks and gardens of the city. It's so pretty, but don't go outside without a coat. Cause tell you what, it would freeze the balls of a grass monkey out there. The sun is out, it ain't teasing. It's sunny outside, but it's also fucking freezing. Maybe put on a coat. Yeah, maybe put on a coat. Maybe put on a Precipitation is the product of displacement of condensation, water vapor in the atmosphere. A stationary front is often present near the area of freezing rain causing rising air. Eventually the cloud droplets will grow large enough to form raindrops and descend toward the earth, where they will freeze on contact with exposed objects where relatively warm water bodies are present, for example due to water evaporation from lakes. Lake effect, snowfall becomes a concern downwind of the warm lakes within the cold cyclonic flow around the backside of extra tropical cyclones. Extra tropical cyclones. Extra tropical cyclones. Extra tropical cyclones. The sun is out, it ain't teasing. It's sunny outside, but it's also fucking freezing. Maybe put on a coat. Maybe put on a coat. The sun is out, it ain't teasing. It's sunny outside, but it's also fucking freezing. Maybe put on a coat. Maybe put on a
Thanks to Marty for that other track. It's an absolutely fantastic track. Marty, you were saying that there is a video of this. You actually made a music video for this one. Is that correct?
There is indeed. It's basically just me in the house on my own, running around, pointing at the sky, going, "Look, it's sunny." That's basically it. So you don't even need to watch it now. You've just explained it all for you. But it's on the.
But there's also making of videos on your YouTube.
I've been doing, like, every now and again. When I'm doing a song in a day, I'll set up a camera in a corner of the room and try to capture the whole process, the whole coming together of, right, how I made this, how I made the song. There's a few of them. There's about 10 of them. It's not always easy to do, because I'm kind of distracted doing the actual thing of writing the song and recording it and stuff. So it's hard to remember to go, oh, by the way, I'm doing this now, and refer back. But I've done a few, and there's the latest one is from yesterday, actually. I did last night's song 99. I sort of documented that. And there's a nice bit of sort of context and stuff for where the song came, where the idea came from, and what was kind of inspiring me that day. So hopefully it's just a bit of an insight. If you're interested at all in that whole, like, creative process, like what the hell's going on with this music, or where's this all coming from, you can get a wee bit of an insight into the madness, into the inner workings of my strange brain.
That's brilliant. So that YouTube address is what do we search for, Marty?
I guess it's Sadfay 2020, so SADFAY 2020 should come up, should bring it up. Yeah, I think that's.
Are there links from your website?
Yeah, so if you go into like martyburnmusic.co.uk, there'll be links to all that stuff, to the YouTube and Bandcamp and all that good stuff.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. We've got one more track of Marty's that will play us out at the end, but thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to get involved if you've got a bit of music or you've got some show that you want us to send out. We've got some scratch works actually that we might show next week on the podcast on the stream. We've also got podcasts from Belfast Improv who've started making podcasts, which are available on our website as well. accidentaltheatre.co.uk/online I think is the links to it, links to different things like the live streams for this, as well as some of the archive shows are all there. So please give them a check out, give them a like, give them a subscribe. As I said at the beginning, subscribes are really helpful, just builds that audience and lets more people know what's out there, and really helps on our end for the big boys like YouTube to take notice of people. So give all the artists, Dan Leith, Marty, and Theatre and I, and The Lyric all a good wee like and mention and subscribe if you can. It's really helpful, and us, please. So how have you thought it's gone so far, guys, for our first one?
Very well.
Tremendously well.
Tremendously well. Okay, we'll see if the reviews are equally like that.
I resent having been on the show because I was unable to watch it.
Oh, nice.
That is a thing. Like with all of the interviews and stuff, I need to go back and watch them because it's like, obviously on our end we can't hear what's going out live, but wow, this sounds really interesting. I really want to find out more.
You can see the new one, but you didn't get to see the Rebecca one. But yes, that will be up live on our YouTube as soon as we've finished up the show and I have added it. So please watch again. The actual streams, both the streams on Facebook and YouTube, should be rewindable. So if you want, you can go all the way back to the beginning with the Tai Chi lesson and then all the way through the different views as well. Please feel free to rewind if you like, but they should be available online as well independently. Anything anyone else wants to mention or signpost or anything like that?
I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that Belfast Improv has a class on Monday.
Oh yes, we've got online classes from Belfast Improv which starts soon. You bookable through our website, again accidentaltheatre.co.uk/workshop. And that's the regular Belfast Improv workshops have been here for a good few years now, 3 odd years nearly since we opened, and they're still they've moved to an online version, and it's 4 weeks long, I believe. Niall, is that right?
4 weeks long.
I
think it's £40, but I think they're offering because money's tight right now. I think if you want to go, but you can't necessarily afford it, get in touch with them and then you'll be able to work something out.
That's brilliant. No, they've always been a fantastic group. It's one of our regrets that we, with having to close, is that we don't have our weekly Sunday improv fix. So yeah, thank you very much everyone for joining us. Thank you very much to the panel. We'll hopefully be back all next week, next Thursday again from around about 1 o'clock, though from 12:30 with Tai Chi first of all from Yellow Crane. Thanks again to Yellow Crane. They'll again they have their website link and it's in the comments and so forth, so please give them a like and a follow as well. We're going to be played out by some more of Marty's music. This is the 31st of March, Marty. Any interesting tidbits from the 31st of March's song?
What have I got here? What was that again? Number 91? I can't even remember. Oh, this is some vocal stuff. Yeah, it's jazzy vocal chords. It's an a cappella thing with just voice. Just loads
and the voices are just yours, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just me singing. So it was a funny one. I wrote I wrote it all on keyboard first and then had to separate every note so I could listen to one individual line, if you know what I mean, and follow my voice along that, and then did that. But there's about 20 vocal tracks in this one. It's just It's kind of
Brilliant.
fun.
And you're always open for more collaborators?
Yes, please. Yes, that would be absolutely
sent
amazing.
through. So if anyone fancies collaborating with Marty, get in contact through your website and Facebook. Any
lovely.
collaborators you want to give a shout out to?
We've done a few so far. Like I've got a few people who are up for it, but it's just everybody's trying to squeeze it into everything else that's going on. And yeah, I've done with Dan this year. It was quite fun. And
That's
yeah,
Dan
I've done
Leith.
with Owen Lamont. Yeah, Dan Leith. We did one there last week. It was great. And then Owen Lamont, the one that was real fun. But yeah, the more the merrier. Like there's definitely room for a lot more of that. So please get in touch if you fancy having a wee jam, having a wee mess about. You don't have to take it too seriously as well. You don't have to be like some virtuoso to join in. Like I'm absolutely okay with people just giving me a few ideas, a lyric or a wee bit of singing or clapping down a microphone, whatever. It's just a way to kind of share ideas and throw them into the creative pot and see what happens.
Brilliant. Yeah, the part of the thing is at the moment is that there's less pressure to produce everything to the nines. We're all stuck at home or things like that. So I think it's a lot of fun just to take some of that pressure off and just noodle, for
Definitely.
lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like there's some roadworks now happening outside of our building. So we're going to sign off with Marty's track from the 31st of March. Thanks again to everyone who's joined us today. Rebecca, Neve, the Yellow Crane, Dan Leith, Marty, Tommy and Niall. Please feel free to get in contact if you wish to be involved, or kind of send us some information if you want to kind of get on or give us a wee chat. It'd be lovely to hear from you. We'll be back again next Thursday, as I said, but also more live streaming stuff always. Check out accidentaltheatre.co.uk/live for most of the stuff that's getting planned. There's new stuff gets added all the time as new people kind of come in and get want to do things. So thank you so much to everyone, and here's Marty. Bye everyone.
Bye.
See ya.